Good morning, Rotarians. Happy Friday. Thanks for being here. We are live in person and back on Zoom still. Let's do some quick introductions here. Do we have any visiting Rotarians this morning? In the room or on Zoom? Hi.
I am from the Palm Beach Rotary. I moved here a year ago. I've gotten organized and I've been trying to find Rotary. So I went to the lunch here. I hear that this is the best Rotary.
Thanks for being here. Thanks for being here. Any visiting Rotarians on the Zoom call?
Not today.
Okay. Rotaract members or Interact members today? Hi. Want to introduce yourself? Thanks for being here. Arcata High Interact. We appreciate what you're doing. Guests of Rotarians. So we do have a proposed new member. That would be Robin. And any other guests? I know we have some guests here. Go ahead, Jessica.
Yes, President Ian, I would like to introduce my friend Peggy Metzger. She's with us again this morning. She's from Cal Poly Humboldt, financial aid department.
Welcome. Thank you.
I have my older sister, Jocelyn.
Thanks for being here. Sarah, I saw you have some guests here.
And here I have Mark and Nick today.
Around the room, any other guests? Dallas Fuentes is visiting and interested in what we're all about. So thanks for being here, Dallas.
Welcome.
I think that covers everybody. Good morning, District Governor Dustin. Thanks for being here. Up first, because somebody's got a game coming right up at 7:30. Why don't you two come on up and tell us what's going on with Arcata High baseball? Come on over.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Mark Ward. This is Nick Parker, senior at Arcata High, also a baseball player. The reason we're here today is the beautiful district built us a nice new sports facility, football field, track, and baseball field, but they didn't give us anything else. So we have to fundraise for the dugouts, for the bullpen, batting cages. We can't use it. $7 million gift that's unusable right now. So we have to raise the money so we can get on the field. Nick Parker here has done a great job. We got a website built up where you guys can do flyovers. You can see the whole field from where it was to where it is today. It's really impressive. Great job that Nick did. But we need to raise money for that. We got a golf tournament coming up April 3rd, which is Sunday. We already got 25 teams. What we're gonna need is some sponsors. We got sponsored levels at $50 to $2,500 to an unlimited amount. And so what Arcata High Baseball is all doing too is our tradition is to give back. A lot of our old players come back. Nick's a senior. He might not even get on the field, but he's here helping raise it for the future generations of ball players and athletes to come. Want to say anything?
Yeah, so I just kind of, for the last year or two, I've been keeping up with the progress on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. And I just go down there, walk around, I talk to Dan Cohn and all them and got some privilege to walk around, take photos. I talked to some of the workers, got some interviews. And so, yeah, on the website, there's links to the social media. And so you can go and look at that. It's a lot of close-up shots. And I'm really excited for the field because I hope we get to play on it because I played on my freshman, sophomore year, and it's an old field and it was terrible. Had horrible drainage. It was rained out half the year, so yeah, that's pretty much it. But thanks for the support.
So on this, we have flyers here too. There's two websites, arcatatigers.golf if you want to participate in the golf tournament, and arcatatigersbaseball.com if you want to see the whole story and the whole background of where we were and where we're at. So again, we appreciate the opportunity to speak to you. Appreciate your money a lot more. Thank you very much for your time and enjoy your breakfast. I'll leave flyers over here for you too afterwards. Thank you.
Thanks, Mark.
Thank you.
Thanks for being here.
It's the same as the field that we talked about with the track. Yeah.
It's the same complex, yeah, but that we've donated some money to the track as well. Yeah. Thank you. All right, up next, we'd like to hear from World Community Service. Tom and Charlie, I believe, are out on the Zoom side. So if you had anything you wanted to say about recent donations, that would be fantastic. Maggie, did you catch Tom or Charlie there?
I'm here.
Oh, hi, Charlie.
Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. So the World Community Services had been given an additional $2,000 as some of the other clubs were or committees were as well. And we agreed to send all of it to the Rotary Relief Fund for Ukraine. And that is in addition to other funds that were collected for the total of $3,465 that you can see there that so far have been sent to this relief fund. And we're encouraging those of you who want to add to that to please do so. I believe we're going to be sending another check on Monday, and it goes directly to the folks that are in need on the ground through a vetted and well-known organization, our very own Rotary International. So thank you for considering that.
Thank you very much. Yeah, we, Dustin and Ashley had garnered some presidential discretionary funds, about $500, and decided that's what it needed to go to. Thank you for making that decision. And then through Venmo and personal checks and such, another 965 have come in. Thank you, everybody who's participated and could. And then World Community Service put 2,000 of their budget towards it. So thank you, everybody, for participating. You can still contribute Venmo at Arcata, at Rotary Club Arcata Sunrise, or directly if you go to the district or Rotary International's website, there's direct links there as well. So thank you very much for helping. This weekend, you know, we do a lot of save the dates, but some of us are excited to actually get out and do some of this stuff that's been coming for a while. Carol, did you have anything to say about Adopt a Highway this weekend? Are we heading to rain or are we good?
Well, I'll tell you, my experience has been, it's probably going to rain tomorrow, but it may not be raining when we're going to be doing this. So I encourage people to have my phone number who are thinking of coming. And that's, is 707-834-4113. Maybe I should put that in the chat. I will do that. But we're planning to get out there and adopt a highway. We really need it. My experience when I cancel it is it's sunny and beautiful, but we will not be going out there if it's raining because that's just dangerous for us to be out there when it's raining. So 9 o'clock, I'm going to call it one way or another, but one way or another, it's actually going to be also a double duty part of a tsunami preparedness test run for tsunami evacuation sites. And so it happens to be that our site where we gather is a tsunami evacuation area. And so what will happen is we'll check in and then you'll hear the sirens. There's going to be the sheriff up and down the highway. It'll take a total of 2 minutes to walk up to our tsunami site, kind of get a little information, which is great information to have if you're out recreating on the peninsula or our beaches. What do you do? And then we'll get back to going out on the highway. So it's kind of a double duty one, and one I'd really encourage people to come to. But like I said, rain, you know, actual rain, not just spotty mist, but rain will cancel it. So check in at 9 or I'll be there no matter what. So you can come on out.
Thank you, Carol. We appreciate you putting that together. And just so everybody knows, there was an email earlier this week to the whole club. It has Carol's contact information, that little list of things coming up, and here's the full details. Check the full details, you'll be able to reach her there. We also have, Maggie sent this in from Arcata House Partnership this Saturday as well. If you want to go on your way to highway cleanup or afterwards, they're doing some cleanup of the temporary parking shelter place out here in Arcata. And they're also looking for specific donations. So check that email for the items that they're looking for as well to help them get that cleaned up and keep it cleaned up. And then with my apology, I can't remember who sent in the Carlson Park cleanup with Guna this Sunday. Is somebody in the room or on Zoom that sent that over that can tell us just a brief bit more?
Yeah, I think, is Romy there? Oh, good. Okay, good.
Yeah. There we go.
Thank you.
And so it's community, building community in the north part of Arcata. And actually the second to last Sunday of every month, they do cleanup at Valley West. And it's really wonderful, you know, it's good to remember. And that's part of us, that's Arcata. So, so getting out there and helping that community would be great. I think what was it, 1 to
11 to 1. Yeah.
Yes, 11 to 1. Yes, get out there. And that one I believe is Rainer.
Thank you, Romy. Thank you. And then we do have a whole lot of future save the dates. Just wanted to touch on a couple of these. District Training Assembly. You know, I've been to, I think, 12 and taught at 8 of them. You know, it's a great way to step outside the club, our club, and mingle and mix with other clubs in our district and really get some educational, foundational work and new ideas about what Rotary as a larger organization is all about, and hear from other clubs how they're doing and what they're doing. So we do encourage you to attend. The club will sponsor at least your $50 registration fee if you choose to attend. I believe when you register, there's a place in there you can put club for the payment. If not, please save your receipt and we'll get you reimbursed as soon as we can. So please do sign up, especially, you know, new or old members. Everybody is eligible to go participate and learn more about what we can do in Rotary. The Redwood Poetry Fest is coming up and we will have a sign-up genius going around for volunteers there. Vanessa's Firesides has finally the official date at the Griffin on May 2nd. What time was that? It'll be May 2nd at 5:30, and she'll send up information and sign up for that as well.
You have a fireside tomorrow.
But no, Matt, sorry, no actual fires. At the fireside.
I'll bring a fire, it's okay.
Okay.
I'll do a survey. If you can't participate in person, there'll be a email survey too. We can't make that date.
So watch for Vanessa's survey. And then this is about as far as I'll go for the moment. Redwood our charter celebrates for our 30th year, Saturday, May 7th. I hope that as many people in our club as possible and your family and friends can attend. We are definitely looking to celebrate. It's been a long time since we've been able to do that. And then, of course, the Sunrise Scramble Committee met Tuesday and we'll meet again this coming Tuesday. Great ideas coming in. We will, by the end of next week, have a fully vetted out. Here's the concept. Here's what it costs to sign up a team. Here's what it costs to sponsor. And we'll go full force with that forward into our spring fundraiser. So please watch for that information coming up very soon. And then district conference, of course, coming up. You know, our Dustin has a few things that may be needed, such as help with Sergeant at Arms, setting up the decorations at the River Lodge, where there's a lot of high spaces where things need to be hung. And any other particular needs you're looking at coming up, Dustin?
Yes, and I'll let you know.
Okay, he'll let us know.
This is kind of fine indeed, so I'll send an email or I'll contact you, letting y'all know where we could use help and go from there. But it's,
okay,
it's looking really fun and nice. So.
And you mentioned that at the board meeting, and I think I can speak for all of us when I say we got your back, Dustin.
Yes.
Thanks for being our district governor this year, and we're ready to come out in full Arcata Sunrise Force. Yeah, something to say about that too.
You never tried from a link.
No comment. So in 2003, I was in Dustin's position because I was trying to put together a district conference also at River Lodge. And I decided that maybe we need a little incentive because I like prizes and I like spreading the love. So I pledged at the board meeting that everybody from our club who registers for the district conference will get a Sushi Spot gift card from me. And some people say, well, people should just go anyway. They don't need incentives, but I'm kind of big on incentives. And if you feel strongly and you don't want the card, you can always take me to lunch, or you can donate it to Final Friday next week. I have 8 cards. And only one person is here. Well, Marty and I don't know if we're getting sushi spot gift cards from you or not, but we'll figure that out. But Sophie.
Thank you. Thank you for that, Terry. So the official name of the event is Rocking in the Redwoods, and it's going to be rockabilly themed. It's only a one night and one day this year. So Friday night and Saturday all day. We'll have socials, inspirational speakers. We're going to be doing projects there and a river walk and a car show and live music. So there's going to be a lot going on. You've all been sent individual registration links in your email, so look for that. And if you can't find it, let you or Terry or myself know, and we'll get it back to you. But the links aren't universal; it's specifically to you. That's how registration's working. So there it is. Look for it. Thank you, Ian.
Thank you, Dusty. Home away from home. Anybody from Holly Humble want to say something about this real quick? Come on up, Ruby.
This is a really great program. It started years back when the university and Equity Arcata got together and really did an assessment. How do students feel when they arrive here in our community? How do students of color feel when they arrived here? And they asked them, and it wasn't very welcoming, unfortunately. Of course, in some cases, beautifully welcoming, but on the whole, they did not feel so welcome, and sometimes followed and sometimes not treated well in really pretty profound ways. And so the idea was, let's, as a community, make sure that these students know that when they get here, we are thrilled that they're here. They are welcome, and we are thankful that they are part of this community. And so Equity Arcata University created a subcommittee called Home Away from Home. And we originally started by having community members just come and bring a bunch of potluck items. And we had a wonderful potluck, and we invited all students, but special invitations to the Centers for Academic Excellence that really support the students of color. And it's become a beautiful tradition. So now 3 or 4 times a year, we do a big meal for them and a bag of stuff that they need. Food insecurity is serious on our campus, unfortunately. And so with COVID, we had to start giving them a meal to go. And so then we support a local business, usually owned by a person of color, to distribute a meal. So this time it's going to be Romans, and they'll get a bag of stuff. And we do actually still need donations to put stuff in the bags. This time we got a very generous grant from
Humboldt Area Foundation.
Thank you, Rebecca. Excellent. Humboldt Area Foundation, and but we still are always short because we buy food and some cleaning supplies and some personal stuff to put in the bags that they take. So they grab a meal, they grab a bag, and they hopefully receive the message. We are glad you're here, and you are an essential part of our community. Sorry.
So how many students are, I'm thinking if we want to buy some food?
Yeah, we've usually had around 150 students come. Yeah, so it's a lot to fill a bag of stuff, and we're still looking. We've had a lot of great donations this time, but we're still looking, I think, for $300 or $400 more to be able to pull this one off. And then there will be one more in May.
Romy, we have a question here.
Yes.
Yeah, the question is, well, I think it got answered. How many bags? You're doing about 150. Is that what you're thinking?
We fill about 150 bags worth of stuff.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Romy. Oh, right? Oh, that's exactly the response we're looking for. So Tom is the most interesting grandpa in the world now. That's my way of recognition. Tom, did you join the call this morning? I'm not sure if we caught you there. Anyway, he's probably with.
Yeah, I don't see him today.
Okay. Well, anyway, Tom's a grandpa, so next time you see him, let him know that. District Training Assembly, again, you can register now check your email. All you got to do is search District Training Assembly and you'll find it right there, and get registered and build a club. Our golf tournament, of course, please, on social media, we talked about it last week. There's other people in the room here today, so find it on our social media page, like it, share it, and invite friends, and that will keep them up to date as we get the information about it. Without each of us putting it out there, it is only going to hit ourselves, so watch for that. And then homeless in Humboldt, the project for These People Matter, are seeking their fundraising as well to be able to finish the current series, the episode 2, and then they would really like to be able to raise funds to do the next episode. And anybody who was here last week hearing us speak or watch their production from last week's preview email, I think you know this is definitely something worth supporting. So that is also emailed out, and please do consider supporting them as well. And as Justin just said, make sure that registration is out too. Again, search your email for district conference. You'll find it right there, and it's super easy to sign up. It takes about a minute. Angela, you did a flag exchange recently with another club you visited. See what happens with people going out and seeing other clubs. No, it's a really great thing to do.
So I was in Dublin and was able to go to a Rotary meeting, and we exchanged flags. And they had a book. They are the oldest club in Europe. And so I bought the book, and if anybody wants to read it, it's interesting.
Excellent. So what did the culture feel like at the club?
They were very friendly. They're an older group, and they are having trouble attracting new members and retaining them.
What was the population of the club? Mostly men?
There were 2 women in the room.
How many members do they have?
I think they're around like 30. And I told them we were 70, and they were like, "Oh my God, there's so many."
Well, thank you. And you must have got one of our flags before you went.
Yes.
Yeah, thank you for thinking of that ahead of every trip. Appreciate
Yeah.
that. And hope you enjoyed your time with them and good conversations with other Rotarians.
Yeah.
That's one of the things is, as a Rotarian, you can go to any meeting in the world of other Rotary clubs, and you'll find that it is very interesting learning about how other people do it and also appreciating how we do it. So.
And the man on the right is their district governor, and he comes once a year, and he was there.
And you just happen to be there. Well done. Okay, everybody. Thank you very much for bringing this back. Raffle time, I believe. We're moving right along this morning. Sorry to catch you a little early there, Dustin, if you're ready.
All right. This is the raffle. And I got these last Greg who were online.
Oh my God. Good Lord.
All right.
It's not.
819327. So 327.
Right here.
Wait, you cheated.
Yeah.
All right.
So Justin kindly reminded me that that is Nick doing the raffle.
All right. And let's pick the next one. All right, 318.
No!
Okay. Rotarians and their honesty, right?
So is that why they show up early?
My God.
Sure.
All right. Yeah. Thank you.
Okay, I see how it is.
That was pretty slick.
Okay, up next, we would like to introduce our featured presenter, Charlie Murphy, a very member of our very own club and very active in the community and serving in her profession as well. Charlie, would you like to come on up, and I'll get your slides on here for you. One moment.
So I go by Charlie and, only, let's see, maybe a judge and my boss and the chief of police call me Crystal. So if you see that, it's confusing. Friends and family call me Charlie. So I work at the Arcata Police Department. I'm a juvenile diversion counselor. So it was really interesting. I never planned on working with kids, ever. I was an ornery kid. So yeah, kids are really unattractive to me, I thought. So I graduated from Chico State University as a psychology major. I wanted to be a researcher and professor. And when I was looking for jobs here, of course, the jobs I found were like after school program, an aide for third grade and kindergarten and things like that. And then another job I found was like, a drug and behavior rehab center for at-risk youth. I was like, I'd probably do that for a little bit. What that turned out to be, I went through the background checks, I went through everything. And what that turned out to be was Juvenile Hall and their respective drug and behavior rehab center, called the Regional Center. I was like, all right, I'll do this for a couple of years and then I'm going to move away. I'm going to go to grad school. I was there for 7 years. So that was cool. 7 years. And I ended up going to HSU and getting a degree in developmental psychopathology. And consequently just fell in love with the kids in Juvenile Hall. It was just, we have these kids who can't, read a clock. Kids who, like, they're 16, they don't know the difference between an M and a W, and their last name starts with a W. Probably cry, but that's okay. My therapist says it's good. So, it's like, I essentially, the more I learned that what you expect from people is what you get from them. So if you expect the best, that's what you get. I was always in trouble. If you guys have met my dog Cheese, he's been in Juvenile Hall. So kids used to be on isolation, and I was like, that's crazy. Isolation, kids are in Juvenile Hall for 3 to 6 months. And there's like, some kids don't have family visit. They can't touch each other. They can't touch staff. And I was just like, imagine going 6 months without physical touch. So, I would sneak cheese in for these kids on isolation. I'd sneak toys in. I was called an insubordinate because I would be like, hey, I'm going to bring a kite in. And my supervisor would say, you can't do that. It's a safety hazard. Blah, blah, blah. I was like, oh yeah, I already talked to Tim Tosti. Sorry, it's approved. And so, yeah, I got some bad reviews. But ultimately, the more you treat them like kids, the more they acted like kids. So I had a good friend when I worked there, and he said, you should apply for your master's. What are you doing here? And I was just like, I'll do it eventually. I'll do it eventually. And he's like, no, like, do it. So I applied for Humboldt State, and I, again, still thinking that I was going to be, a researcher. And by the end of it, my mind had changed. And I just saw professors at HSU that were really drained and not happy necessarily at that time. And so I was just like, I can't be one of these people when I grow up. This is awful. And so I got my degree and I didn't know what I was doing. Lo and behold, there was a newspaper article and it's like, keep kids out of juvenile hall, keep kids in school. And I was like, yeah, obviously. And through my work, I just developed skills and rapport, and I also have quite a bit of life experience that was similar to the kids in juvenile hall. With as far as my, I grew up locally, so we had addiction in my family. I had experienced homelessness throughout high school. And so yeah, I had kids that were like, you don't know anything about me. I'm like, yeah, I kind of know a little bit, like smidge. And so I think it made my work, or me working with them, I was relatable. I wasn't just like this ephemeral adult that knew everything. And I was like, hey, like, so I essentially just fell into this calling. So I applied for this job in 2016. They wanted not a research degree, they wanted a counseling degree, an LCSW or MFT. And I was like, well, I don't have one of those, but it was 2016, elections were going on. And I was like, what better time than to apply for a job you're not qualified for? Just kidding. Just kidding. Not a political joke, just a joke I love to say. I'm sorry. Totally kidding. I have no political alliances. So yeah, but anyways, I landed the job. I sent an email to the chief of police being like, hey, I know I don't have the right degree. I grew up here. I understand the kids. I understand the community. Give me a chance. I emailed the person who had my job before me. I emailed anyone I could. And the chief of police was like, yeah, there was someone, you know, quote unquote, on paper more qualified, but keep sending those emails. I was like, awesome. So essentially what happened was the program was developed. I went in there with my research background and I was like, I have everything. Like, I've done this research and that research. And my uncle's like, whoa, try a little humility. You know, go in there and listen, ask them what they want. And the chief goes, this is your program, build it. So it actually worked out very well for me. So the program, the primary objectives are using evidence-based practices to reduce, you know, juvenile justice system and also keep kids in school, providing youth and parents with support systems. And this is primarily because when we look at kids in the community who aren't going to school, who are committing crimes, who are you know, maybe on a wrong path, schools turn to the parents and say, why isn't your kid coming to school? And parents turn to the school and say, how come my kids are failing your class? And then they both look at law enforcement and say, what, like, and so obviously there's like something, there's like a missing link here where they're not working together. So this program really provides support for school, law enforcement, and families, and it happens on all those different levels. So parents will get parenting classes, kids will get counseling and mentorship, and just building that bridge between community members. How the program works, schools is first there's a referral, and this can come through law enforcement, so the sheriff's office, Arcata PD, anyone, and then there is an assessment with the youth and their guardian, and it's important to use guardian when we talk about families, because a lot of people, especially in our community, aren't living with their bio families or parents. They might be living with their grandparents, aunts, and uncles, and so that's like a more inclusive word that you can use when referring to a kid. And then we also follow up with a one-on-one assessment with the kid. We create a contract, and then provide case management, and then what happens from there is either the kid completes the program, doesn't complete the program, or reoffends. So just like the law enforcement citation or referral process, again, we have a student attendance review team called the SAT. There's a sheriff's office, Humboldt State Police, Arcata Police, Child Welfare, and DHHS often refer kids to us. And our target population is first-time offenders with misdemeanors. So this might be assaulting somebody on campus or in the community. This might be possessions of drug or alcohol in the community or on campus, selling drugs or and alcohol. Truancy has been a huge one, especially with the pandemic. One of the risks that we try to address is there is a widening in the net. Obviously, if kids are having more statistically, what they said in the past is if kids have the more contact that kids have with law enforcement, the more likely they're going to be involved in the system. And so we have to be aware of that as an agency, that that's not what we're doing, that we're providing support, and it's not, streamlining them or doing the, the school to prison pipeline. So after referrals, again, the family assessment will bring the kids in and we'll say, what school do you go? What are your grades? What teachers do you like? What teachers don't you like? Do you have any friends? What are they like? What are their hobbies? What do you guys do together? How's your mental health? What's your substance use like? And we can do an assessment of whether that's recreational or somewhat problematic or addictive. What's your family like? Family history. We talk about ACEs, which is the Adverse Childhood Experiences questionnaire. So there are 10 things that kids can experience that make them more likely to either commit crime, have health issues, have substance abuse issues. And so we address kind of that. And we also do like a resiliency questionnaire. What strengths do you have? Do you have a mentor? Do you have a supportive person? What are your hobbies? What are your friends? And to focus not only on risk factors, but protective factors. And then, yeah, so trauma and then leisure and recreation. I think that's one of the harder ones for our kids in our community is, what do you do for fun? I thought moving to Arcata, I was like, okay, I'm going to start this program. I'm going to get kids involved with like recreational things and I found not a lot for kids who aren't in organized sports. And so that's definitely been something that I've watched develop over the years. But so the contract and case plan, each kid's case plan will look different depending on the kid. So we might have two different kids who shoplift from Safeway, and one kid's just like, you know, an all-star student, and he was like, I don't know, my friend told me to do it, so I did it, and I'm really sorry, I didn't mean to, and it was dumb. And I'm like, okay, so that kid might still have community service, and he might have some other things like for accountability, and he'll have to pay back the store. The other kid, another kid might go in there and she says like, oh yeah, I stole the bottle, and like, I don't care, I do it all the time. It's a big organization, it's Safeway, who cares? And so they might need a little bit more support as far as like, what is accountability? What kind of harm have you done to yourself, to your family, to the store, to your community when you have that attitude? Also, they might have like a substance abuse thing. So they might get something called brief interventions, where we talk to kids about what does your substance use look like? Why do you use substances? Because people use substances for all different reasons. It might be like boredom. It might be for anxiety, depression, because I can't sleep. And to me, I tell kids like, that's like a nail, an attack, and a staple. And weed or alcohol might be your rock. It might do the job, but it's not the right tool. And so let's talk about the other tools that you've forgotten about, or build your toolbox when it comes to that kind of stuff. What else can you do when you're bored? What else can you do when you're anxious? What else can you, and then the community service also looks different depending on age. And if you're failing math class, your community service is going to be meeting with your math teacher. If you're kind of 16, 17, spinning your wheels, your community service is going to look like going to a job coach for a few times and getting those skills and interview skills. Community partners. And then one of my favorite things we do is the parent project. This is a class that some of our members in this club have taken. I recommend it to anyone. I call it Humaning 101. A lot of the skills that we have as parents, we're just gleaning off TV or gleaning off like our own experiences. And so this is actually like a concrete thing for parents with kids who might be at risk or strong-willed, showing appropriate displays of love and affection, support, consequences. Also, this was something I saw in Juvenile Hall, where parents who would come and visit their children, they'd have a one-on-one conversation, and then they'd all walk out single file. Like, you guys have so much in common. Like, and you guys are sitting here listening to your kids talk and be locked up, and you think there's something wrong with me, there's something wrong with my kid, and you're just in like your little echo chamber. And so this is also a great way that parents find support, and they see that people from all backgrounds, walks of life, also have the same problems. And so it's an interesting thing to build skills within the parents, and that also has a ripple effect on the kids. So yeah, just an example. So the first unit is the displays of love and affection, and then the difference between influence and control, letting parents know you can't control your kid. If you could, we wouldn't have teen pregnancies and addiction and they wouldn't be cutting school. I wouldn't have a job. So what does influence look like? Positive and negative consequences, and having like steps of success, which is our weekly homework that we do with parents. We'll give them an assignment every week, whether it's like, hey, tell your kid you love them every day this week, or catch them doing something right, because our kids who are in trouble most often, they only hear when they're doing bad. And so even if they're trying, they're like, my parents never recognize when I do something good, they only recognize when I do something wrong. And so getting parents in the habit and also creating positive reinforcement both ways. So yeah, that's we're actually, our last class of this series is next Tuesday. So yeah, Loving Solutions is for parents of kids between 5 and 10. And then the parent project is for strong-willed kids 11 and up, or parents of strong-willed kids. And we also provide childcare and dinners to try to eliminate a lot of barriers for families in the community. So measuring success. So the year the APD was funded, diversion, 89% of the juvenile cases were referred to probation. During the first year measures he was funded, the number dropped to 41%, and the remaining 49% were handled with an APD. The past year, usually it's about 100 kids a year, but with COVID and everything going on, we had different things coming up as far as what does truancy look like when you're doing online school. And, you know, and then a lot of things that were not in diversions, like, you know, where we mostly get school referrals. Now we're getting parents calling me like, my kid is home all the time and I'm not a teacher and I have a full-time job and I have my own personal, you know, life, you know, things going on. How do I do this? And kids are really struggling in a different way. So, so our records showed 95% success for kids who are in the program. And so that means they completed their community service. They did counseling. They've done their like restorative practices. They've made amends with people they've harmed, and other things like that. Failure is usually due to the kids aren't, you know, they're not participating at all. And one of the things that we do to reduce that whole widening the net in the PASS's model for restorative practices, restorative justice has been, this is your one get out of jail free card. If you mess this up, we're sending you to probation. I don't believe that. I'm still making mistakes and I'm 36. So I feel like that's a pretty tough challenge. It's important to see that kids' development, and we all do this and this. And so when a kid fails, you're okay, like you messed up again. Like, are we gonna get you back on the right track? Like, what are your decisions in doing stuff like that? So, and so that's a little bit something that we have that's different in our model. But it's not a one strike, you're out and tough luck. I have a colleague named Leah Valdivia. She's wonderful. She's especially great with the 5 to 10-year-olds. I really like working with the teenagers because I'm kind of a ornery teenager. So I'm also an artist, and I really like integrating art into everything I do. So it might be working with a kid one-on-one. I have worked with Interact, decorating their bathrooms. It's one of my favorite projects. The school had a bathroom that was being vandalized often, where the kids would paint off, and we were like, well, let's paint it. And the kids picked their images and inspirational quotes, and the janitor staff says, like, can you do that to every bathroom? Like, there's almost been no like destruction in that bathroom. And so now that was the worst bathroom, and now there's like an upstairs bathroom, it's the worst bathroom. That's our next one. And we've started painting all the bathrooms in Arcata High, and it gives the kids ownership and pride and inspiration to their school. And then I'll do some art therapy with kids one-on-one. But yeah, essentially the job is my dream job. I get to work with lovely people such as yourself. I joined Rotary thinking, oh, it's just a bunch of rich business owners and I'm going to trick them into helping people. I didn't know that was the whole point of this. to my pleasant surprise. So, I guess I'm just open for questions if we have time. I don't know how long.
So this is just for City of Arcata, essentially.
Actually, no. So I have an office at McKinleyville High and Arcata High, and we work with the feeder schools as well as the middle schools as far north as Trinidad and as far east as Blue Lake.
Now, what do they do in Fortuna? Do they have someone like in Fortuna doing this job? Or?
They don't. They have an SRO, so a school resource officer. I think it's still kind of a new model. I think that the county is probably in a pretty big place to reassess things, especially as decriminalization continues and they don't want kids in systems. That's changed quite a bit. I saw a lot of kids coming to juvenile hall for shoplifting, and then because it's a revolving door, leave with face tattoos and addiction. So that's changed, which is good, but we still need support for the kids out in the community and the families out in the community. And I'm hoping that restorative practices and restorative justice and diversion programs expand in our community.
So on your initial contact, Charlie, with the students, children, how do you get them involved? How do you get them, that's gotta be a big task. I mean, just trying to feel them out and have them respond to it.
Yeah, it's always different. I have kids who meet me and they're just scared and wide-eyed, and I'm like, okay, this is gonna be a cakewalk. It never is, but it's, or rarely is what I should say. And then I have some kids who just are like, you're not the boss of me, you don't know me, leave me alone. And they'll see me on their campus like, that's my probation officer. And they're like kind of using me as social clout. And I'm like, I'm not your probation officer. I'm actually your counselor. You want to tell your friends you got a counselor? That's, oh my gosh. But yeah, no, it's always just meeting them where they're at and saying, I'm not your probation officer. I'm not a part of your consequences. Like I don't have the same goals as your school has. I don't have the same goals as your parents have. I'm your neutral person. If anything, I'm your employee and you have to tell me your goals and we'll start from there.
Cool.
Hi. If you had a wish list, what do you need from the community? What do you need from people who can help you? What are you asking for? Is there anything?
I think that it would just be somehow advocating for more. I would like to spread this. Ideally, in a perfect world, I'd love to spread this and have more of the trainings and the toolkit that I have and Leah has put into our probation or put into with the hands of families. Essentially, yeah, because we do a lot. We do mindfulness with the kids. We do community resilience trainings with parents and teachers and first responders. But we're 2 people for all of Northern Humboldt. So I just think that just more people who are interested in this kind of work.
You bring that up. What is the ratio of your 2 against how many kids?
A lot. A lot. So let's see. There's, our caseload waxes and wanes all the time. It's feast or famine. I'll be bored to the gills someday and be like, I need to create work. I need to do a training and do this and that. And then what happens is there's a landslide and I go, oh, great. I have all the work I created and this work. And so it's hard. But as far as kids, there are roughly 500 kids at Arcata High and 1,000 kids at McKinleyville High, and that's 2 schools out of all the districts.
Charlie, you mentioned boredom as one of the factors for potentially, self-medicating or other things that lead to this. I've only never entered this system because I was never caught, but boredom is definitely a destructive factor. What community resources do you see that are needed outside of what you mentioned, organized sports, that are things that these kids could be able to participate in if they were available?
Yeah, me being me, I'm thinking like art projects. I think that everybody's an artist. I really do. And just because you haven't found your medium, or it's not what you think art is. If someone's like, I'm not an artist, but I love to cook. I'm like, how is that not art? I'm like, I'm not an artist, but I love to garden. Like, that is art. I hate gardening. Like, it is a science, if anything. So, I think that there are different programs, and I thought moving to Arcata that I'd be like, yeah, I'm gonna get these like more introverted kids plugged into these art programs or music programs, and there really isn't anything for kids who don't have an outlet. I think information regarding like what resources there are, like Ink People and Mars Project, or even, there's things like the city has art things, but a lot of families can't afford even the subsidized, the fees. I remember taking a kid to farmer's market, and I was taking him to his community service, and we're walking around the plaza. Because we couldn't find it, whatever. And so I was like, all right, we're gonna walk around. We're just gonna spend some time together. We're walking around farmer's market, which happens every Saturday, and he's playing with beans. He's 13. He's like above playing with beans, but he's fascinated by the colors and the people and everything. And he goes, "This happens every Saturday?" And I was like, "Yeah, you've never been to farmer's market?" And he's like, "No." He lives about 4 blocks from the plaza.
I just wanted to say thank you, because Charlie helped us with one of our sons. And when you say widening net about like catching the kids, right? There's too many points of contact. I actually always confuse it with the opposite.
Yeah.
Because it's so interesting to all of a sudden enter this abyss. And as a parent, you're scared, right? And so I think I had one of my least favorite moments of myself actually in Charlie's office with our son and my husband, and you're just amazing. So thank you for all that you do. The parent project's amazing too. And you just really get a glimpse of all the humans that we're in this world with. And so thank you for being one of them.
Randy, you had a question too.
Well, I just wanted to just say how proud I am to see how Charlie has kept her passion, and how strong this program is remaining. It's been in place since 1980. It started with a state grant, and Lil Benavides Stoddard was the original person that put it together, and it has remained. The low recidivism rates have always been there, and it's been a real struggle to keep it going over the years. But this is really something that the Budget Acts has never gone to, and because it's one of the things that makes Arcata. It's always been identified as this program as one of the things that makes Arcata unique, and one of the great things about Arcata. And I just love seeing Charlie keeping it as strong as ever. So thank you, Charlie. You're doing an awesome job.
Hey, Ian, you're muted.
We've lost your sound, Ian.
Thank you. How's that? Well, you lost me entirely for a moment there. Sorry. So thank you for all you do. We appreciate it. Let's see if I can.
We have another question here from Greg. Has his hand up?
Please.
One of the projects we supported many years ago, and I was actually helped form it into a nonprofit. My first president was Tiffany's Garden for Children, that many of you might remember. Carol Hayslip ran right off the plaza. And one of the reasons I really was a supporter, it was a place where kids who had nowhere else to go, or did but that chose to come here, could just go and hang out. And we had video games and art, and they can get free food, and Carol would help them, and we could link them up with Jim Reese, who was the juvenile diversion person at APD. And unfortunately, it closed. And I don't think there's another facility like that. And this was, it was started right on the plaza, and then we moved just off the plaza. anyway, I bring that up because we do a terrible job, as Charlie noted, that, we have a lot of organized sports, but we don't have any place where kids can just go and hang out and be safe. And I'm hopeful that maybe we can try to revive something like that somewhere, and not just sort of toss them out in the streets.
Yeah, and one of the things that brings up was like, so the business, I think it was like Arcata. I was like, oh, cool, like an arcade for kids, like that's somewhere for kids to hang out. It was a 21 and up business, or it is a 21 and up business. So I think just being aware of making things inclusive for kids who might not have opportunities. I don't even, that's just a bad business model. Who doesn't want quarters for kids? Yeah, just be mindful of what spaces you have.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody. Parting thought today, so many options. We talked about all the things we have coming up this weekend and the save the dates. So this is about this. So many options. How do you choose who to help? Just follow your heart. Okay.